Hello. This is going to be your social studies lesson about maps. So the whole point of this lesson are what are maps, and maps are representations of places. And a map is obviously not a place. But the interesting thing about maps is people who create maps select and organize the features to include. They organize the features of territory to include in their maps. So people's purposes, people's knowledge, and people's perspective or point of view can shape the way that their maps look. And people's maps of the same place can be very different. So that's kind of what the gist of the lesson is today. So what I want you to do right now is in your packet, you should just have a plain piece of white paper. And I just want you to take 5 or 10 minutes and just sketch a map of the world from your memory. Don't look at anything else. Just take this and do the best you can and sketch a map of the world. And pause the video while you do this. So you should have a sketch on your paper of what you think the world looks like, right? So I want you to make sure you turn that in, whether it's wonderful or not. I want to see that you did it. And then I want you to find in your packet the paper that looks like this. And this is an outline, a world map outline. And what I want you to do on there is I want you to label as many things as you know. So if you know any continents, label those. If you see any countries you recognize, label those. Any oceans, pretty much anything you know about the map, I want you to label it during this time. And pause the video as you do that. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to think about a map in a different way, and we're going to think about Riverside School. So this is going to be like a map making activity. So you should have a big piece of white paper, and that's what I want you to use to make your map. And I want you to try to make a map of the inside of our school. So what are some things you know that are inside the school? You want to label classrooms, you want to label the hallway, maybe the drinking fountain, any doors if you know where those are. So I want you to take your giant white paper, the big one, and try to make a map. Like if you were looking down on top of the school, what would your map look like? Okay, so you need a pencil. If you're going to make it super beautiful, you can use colored pencils, but I just want you to make this community map of our school. This should take you 20 minutes or so, and then pause the video. So then the last piece of this lesson is, what did you notice about your map? If you had a friend make a map, would your maps be different? Even though it's the same school, would the maps look a little bit different? And why do you think that is? So maps are representations, or in social studies we call them an account of something. What was your purpose for making the map? Your purpose was to make a map of Riverside School and all the things that are in it. So maps are accounts of how the person who created the map sees the place they are representing. Okay, accounts. That's going to be one of our vocabulary words. And then another thing about maps that we need to think about is, like when we were making the map of the world is round, we know. So when we make the world would be three-dimensional, but on a map, it's only two-dimensional. So how might that make the map look a little bit different? A cool activity that you could do at home is if you have like an orange or maybe a grapefruit, you could draw on it with Sharpie and try to draw like some continents on your orange or your grapefruit, and then try to peel it and try to press it down and see what your globe looks like when it's pressed into the shape of a map. So that might be kind of a cool activity you could do at home too, if you have an orange or anything that can be peeled like that. So some important vocabulary that we need to know about maps is representation. So I will post some vocabulary for this lesson too that you can start keeping in a journal. A representation is the description or portrayal of someone or something in a particular way. So like a map is a representation of an actual place. Two-dimensional and three-dimensional are important vocabulary words. Like the earth is a three-dimensional object. Two-dimensional doesn't have any depth. So maps depict the earth in a two-dimensional way. What is a map? That's an important vocab word. A map is a visual representation of an area. Continents, those are the world's continuous expanses of land. So there's 7 continents. Africa, Antarctica, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, South America. Did I get all 7? I think so. So those are the 7 continents of the world. A map key or a legend is the wording on the map that explains the symbols, and that's something else that we're linking together in our daily geography practice too. And then the last word is account, which we kind of just talked about, and it's a report or description of an event or experience. So a map is an account of how the person who created the map sees the place they are representing, and this is influenced by the person's knowledge, purpose, and point of view. So I would like you to turn in your maps, turn in the original one where you drew the earth on the blank, turn in the one where you labeled as much as you could remember, and turn in the one of the school. And then I want you to double check your work and look up on your Chromebook a map of the world and see what are some things that you did remember correctly, what are some things that you could have added. And if you want to add to your map, that's awesome. If you do that in a different color. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, do it in a different color so I know what you knew originally and then what you added to it. Have a great day.